Hi, friends. I'm Yolanda
Hello.
Harper, and I'm here with Giara Blanco. And we are coming to you live from our Harper Therapy offices here in the Tampa Bay area in Lutz.
Yes, on a rainy day.
It is a rainy day, but we wanted to share some really very important information today. For those times where we drop the ball in our relationships, right? We've injured, wounded our partner.
Yeah.
Of course, unintentionally.
Yes, mostly unintentionally.
And
sometimes intentionally.
Yeah.
Because we're human and
we're human.
We are flawed.
Yeah.
And those are the moments where we need to kind of put our heart on the table and be vulnerable.
It's so hard.
Really
so we're talking about apologies today. And the anatomy of an apology, we're going to break it down. Giara's going to share the steps of what that looks like. But it is super vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to, admit my imperfections.
Yep.
I hate when I hurt someone that I care about.
And it's sucky. There's no other word. It hurts so bad because you know you did something that hurt a person you love and that loves you back. It is embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Then we have shame or guilt, depending where we are on that. And having to admit that you were wrong.
Yeah.
For me, that's one of the hardest ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
those words, I'm sorry, and how do we share that with our partners in a way that really lands, right? And really restores and repairs the relationship. Because here's the plus side of kind of those face down moments is that we do have an opportunity to reconnect and to even improve the relationship by these repairs.
Yeah. And I think that is why we want to address this topic today. Yeah. There's an opportunity of growth, of learning, of moving forward and making the relationship stronger, making the connection stronger. So let's start. Yes, let's start. Let's start with the fact that we're human. We are flawed. We're going to mess up. And we may not notice sometimes when we mess up, but we notice when our partners mess up. So let's put our big girl pants on and say, you know what? I'm going to do something to make this situation somewhat better. So how does an apology work? Some people say, oh, you just say, I'm sorry. You need a little bit more depth to that.
When our kids were younger, it would be like, say it like you mean it.
Hug until you mean it. We're like, oh.
So that was the saddest I'm sorry I've ever heard.
There's no heart into it when it's just, I'm sorry. So the first thing is kind of express regret. And this is really important. It's not just an I'm sorry. And it's not an I'm sorry that my words hurt you or that you were hurt by my words. No. It's taking it from an I statement point of view. I am sorry that I said hurtful things.
Right.
You kind of take that. You own it. And that is really vulnerable because you are accepting that you didn't go by the rules. You messed up. You hurt someone that you love. So, making that known to your partner, to your significant other, to whomever you're apologizing. Like, what did I do? It's not that you are sensitive or that you were hurt by what I said. No, it's I said something in a tone of voice or the content that was hurtful.
Right. Because you do more damage if you shift that to your partner. Well, you're just so sensitive. If you weren't so sensitive,
Or this is my tone of voice. It doesn't matter. It's my tone of voice was hurtful.
Yeah, right.
After that, you kind of have to state what went wrong because it's one of those when you're a kid, hug and say I'm sorry until you mean it. Why are you saying I'm sorry? What went wrong? So an example that I and you'll see it on the blog later, it's like, sometimes we get hyper-focused on what I'm feeling, what I'm doing, what I'm going through, that I don't think about how my words come out. I don't think of the tone of voice that I'm using when my words come out. So understanding that and say, I get so hyper-focused on my feelings that I forget that my words and my actions or inactions are hurtful. So state what went wrong.
Yeah.
Because that way there is some space to amend. If you don't know what's wrong, then what are you going to change? So that's the important second one. The third one, and this for me is the most important, is take responsibility for what happened.
That accountability piece, taking responsibility and holding yourself accountable for your own actions, that's part of what creates trust and builds trust in the relationship. So it's so important. Even though it's the last thing we want to do is accept that responsibility.
It's hard. You take responsibility. It's kind of saying I lose sight of others when I'm hyper-focused, and it's not the first time it happens, and I'm trying really hard to change this, to make it better for us.
Yeah.
So taking responsibility, it requires a lot of courage.
It is. It's a very courageous act. Yeah.
And if you can talk through the tears after you accept that responsibility, because let's be honest, your heart is on the table, your soul is on the table, you're as vulnerable and as raw as you can be, then the next step, which is kind of finding that place of love within yourself and for your partner, is declaring or showing that repentance. It's like, I know that what I did was hurtful. And it's hard to see the person that I love hurt because of what I did. So that repentance, that like, I did not do this the right way, and I can do it better next time. And that requires strength and courage again. It's not as easy to get to that step if the relationship has had a rocky moment or a rocky start.
Yeah, and that's what makes apologies really difficult. If there's been a history in the relationship of injuries happening, right, of hurts happening without the acknowledgement, without the accountability and responsibility, without the repair, we're going to hold that, we're going to be much more guarded with that. And so part of it is creating a culture of apology, but a lot of times there's some wounds that have to be healed.
Because we sometimes use that as weapons and we throw them back. So after doing that repentance part, then we go into the repair mode. I know I am not the best at communicating at this time. I am now aware of how much it hurt you. It may happen again, but know that I am trying my very hardest to be aware, to use my words wisely, to monitor my tone so that I don't hurt you anymore. That's that repair process.
Well, and the repair allows for some planning too. It allows you an opportunity to kind of game plan with your partner to say, okay, when we find ourselves in the same space again, because we're human and it happens, right? Here, how should we play through this, right? How, what are some things that we can kind of say to each other that are kind of saying, hey, we're heading in this direction, right? But that only happens in the courage and vulnerability of the apology.
Yes. And what's important in that part is setting that plan. It's like a fire escape drill. You go through it even if the building isn't on fire. So
So
this is your moment to kind of work with your fire drill escape plan. And then the last one would be request that forgiveness. Understand that when you say I'm sorry, when you are repentant, that does not mean that the person is ready to forgive you. And that forgiveness may not come as soon as the conversation is over. It may take them time. It may take some therapy sessions. It may take a whole lot of soul searching. So understanding that, tips on how to do that is kind of being aware of what people need as that process of forgiveness. Some people need compensation, either time compensation or a gesture. Some people need the ability of understanding, okay, this is not going to happen again, and this is how I'm going to take you out for dinner to make sure that we can connect in a different way. Do people need empathy? Do they need to feel that their hurt is understood by the person that created the hurt? And the next one would be, if you're acknowledging that there was a violation of your rules. Mm-hmm. Even just saying, I know I overstepped, mm-hmm. I broke one of our rules that was maybe not cursing at each mm-hmm. other or speaking at each other with a kindness mm-hmm. type of a tone. So what does a person need? Compensation, empathy, acknowledgement of the violations of the rules, all three, a combination of some. Yeah. And then you asking, what can I do to help you in this process of forgiveness, understanding that you may not be ready to forgive me now.
Right. And honoring that.
Yes.
I think, so here's what I want to say. If this feels really hard, it is, mm-hmm. right? If apology feels hard for you in your relationship, it's because it is. It's a hard thing. And most of us have not been shown great examples of what healthy, good apologies look like. So, and especially in relationships, if there have been past hurts, like we've said, wounds that need to be healed, then sometimes therapy is the best context for that. And that's where we would like to assist. Mm-hmm. So here are our 6 action steps from the heart. And as you and your partner are practicing things, if it's a little rocky, just know that that's normal. Mm-hmm. And if you'd like some support with that, we've got great experts here at Harbor Therapy to help with that process because we all need help. So give us a call, check out the website, and practice those steps of apology.
You can do it.
We can do it. We can all do it. We're creating a culture of apology.
Yes,
right?
we are.
All right. Have a good one, guys.